The upcoming Fantastic Four First Steps will feature one of the most overpowered foes in the entire Marvel comic universe. Of course, we are talking about Galactus. So, in honor of that, this next installment of Welcome to the Comicverse is dedicated to his first ever appearance from way back in 1962 in a 3-issue trilogy arc created by none other than Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. It doesn't get any better than this. And bonus, this is also the first ever appearance of the Silver Surfer. But before we begin, we'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, comment, and share this video out. It really helps out the channel each and every week. Thank you. Now, without much further ado, we present to you Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Issues 48, 49, and 50, starting with the chapter titled The Coming of Galactus. The Fantastic Four are embedded with the Inhumans in a remote jungle. Black Bolt's evil brother, Maximus the Magnificent, in a final and desperate attempt to regain his lost crown, has fired his Atmo gun, which, while harmless to Inhumans, will send vibrations all over the world and end all of humanity. The Fantastic Four, caught in the rumble of the weapon, cannot understand what is happening. That is until Sue Richards looks up and sees the building housing the Atmo gun crumbling to pieces. Her husband Reed concurs. That must be the center of the disturbance, and Reed realizes they only have a few seconds to move before being crushed as the structure explodes. But even before the last piece of debris can fall, Black Bolt hurls himself into the remains. The vibrations are still emanating forth, and from high above, Black Bolt can see his brother Maximus at the base of his weapon. He lands, only to be mocked by his brother, who tells him that the deed is done. He, Maximus, will be honored by the Inhumans now, because he has secured the entire Earth for their dominion. Black Bolt stares at his brother in silence for the span of 12 heartbeats, and then he strikes him out of loathing and contempt. Black Bolt turns away from his fallen brother, who is now besieged by the other Inhumans, Gorgon, Medusa, and Crystal, who scold him for his way of thinking. And then Medusa shows him that the humans are okay. The vibrations did not work, because they are just like them. The humans and Inhumans have more in common than difference. For Maximus, he is beside himself. The Earth is supposed to belong to him. The humans should all be dead. Medusa explains that Maximus is mad, and that one day, the Inhumans will join the human race, and Black Bolt will be the one to show them the way. Until then, even her love for this silent hero must remain unfulfilled. Enraged, Maximus breaks free from Gorgon's grip. He has one last plan: to create a refuge forever. He reaches his Atmo gun and reverses the charge, creating a growing negative zone all around him. A zone nothing can penetrate, giving him the final victory. For the Fantastic Four and the rest, they're too late. Maximus has done exactly what he set out to do. The negative zone begins to form, and the first family of Marvel have to escape or be trapped forever. They run, leaving Maximus cackling at his ultimate victory over Black Bolt. As the negative zone closes in around them, Reed carries Sue, who projects a force field to buy them some time. Ben Grimm turns to wonder, where is Johnny? Johnny is refusing to leave. His true love, Crystal, is stuck. She is an Inhuman and cannot escape the negative zone. Johnny will not leave her. Ben does the only thing he can. He grabs the kid by the back and drags him to the safety of Sue's force field. All the while, Johnny screams Crystal's name. And as they exit the danger area, and as the negative zone solidifies into a massive impenetrable sphere, Reed thanks Ben for doing the only thing he could do. For Johnny, he is distraught and broken. He wants to go back. He wants to be with Crystal. For Ben, in that moment, he does not believe he will ever look upon Johnny as just a kid anymore. Still, Johnny tries to burn through the sphere, to no avail. Ben, Reed, and Sue try to comfort him, but there are no words. And even forcing Reed to tacitly promise to find a way back in brings little hope to Johnny's darkness. The Fantastic Four return to their plane and fly over the sphere one last time, as its massive weight causes it to sink into the ground, eventually until it can be seen no more. Meanwhile, in the deep vastness of outer space, an incredible figure hurtles through the cosmos, a being who will, from time forward, be known as the Silver Surfer. He glides like a living comet with the freedom and wild abandon of the wind itself. For light years he soars, dodging meteors and asteroids, going from planet to planet, as if the universe were his own personal highway. Meanwhile, in the 5th quadrant of the Andromeda Galaxy, on the home planet of the Skrulls, there is great concern. They can detect the Silver Surfer approaching. The order is given to black out the planet, as the older Skrulls tell the ignorant that wherever the Silver Surfer appears, it can be certain that Galactus is not far behind, and that they should be afraid, very afraid. Meanwhile, on the flight home, Ben Grimm wonders if he's going mad. After all, he is seeing 2 suns in the sky. He mentions it to Reed, who dismisses him because he's in no mood for April Fool's Day jokes. But Ben is not trying to fool anyone. Finally, Reed pays attention to Ben and sees the 2 suns. However, now one of them seems to be getting closer, turning the sky into an inferno. Reed makes the decision to land immediately. To their surprise, the airport is deserted. Everyone must have fled in panic. For Johnny, flames are something he does not fear. Sue tells Reed she can hear the screams of the fear-filled masses in the city streets. Johnny tells the rest to wait, as he sees what this is all about, and activates his powers. Reed is hesitant and orders him to stop. The people are already frightened by the fire in the sky, but Johnny is going too fast to hear Reed's warning. As Johnny reaches the heart of the city, he sees the entire population gripped with dread. Then he notices something else, that the sky may be on fire, but there's no heat. Nothing is burning. Then, some in the crowd notice Johnny and begin to blame him for their fears. They begin hurling bricks at him, one even using a fire hose to extinguish the Human Torch, which causes him to fall, only gripping a nearby lamppost to keep him from breaking his neck. And as Johnny dangles, an angry citizen begins to climb to force Johnny to get rid of the flames in the sky. Meanwhile, the rest of the Fantastic Four have retrieved their jet cycle and are racing to follow Johnny. And as they look, it is Ben that sees him first, on the ground, fighting an entire angry mob of citizens. And as Reed pulls the cycle into hover mode, the Thing drops from above, determined to help his little pal. And as Johnny gives the mob all they can handle, the Thing lands with a concrete shattering thud, announcing, "It's clobbering time." It does not take more than the sight of the Thing for the unruly mob to disperse in fear, except one, who gets in the Thing's face, who warns him, "You're breathing on my baby blues, Buttercup." But as the Thing says, there's always one in every crowd. And this man gives the Thing his best shots, except the only thing he injures is his own knuckles. For the Thing, it's a simple snap of his fingers, like flicking a fly, and this man soars into unconsciousness. Ben moves the man to an alleyway where he can sleep it off, and as he does so, Johnny points to the sky and tells him to look. The flames are gone. The skies are now clear. Soon after, Reed and Sue land. The Fantastic Four regroup, having more questions than answers. And the only thing Reed can think to do is to get back to the lab and begin working out an answer. Yet one thing is sure in his mind. They are dealing with a power greater than they have yet encountered. Even as Reed speaks, in deep space, a star collapses in on itself, releasing the might of a supernova and gases that ripple like tidal waves that the Silver Surfer rides along at great speeds towards the Milky Way and our own solar system. And then, at last, he finds what he's been searching for. Our sun, a true G-type star. Instantly he realizes that such a sun must contain at least one satellite planet with the energy and elemental resources necessary to the great Galactus. Soon after, the Fantastic Four are back in the Baxter building. Ben is on the phone comforting his girlfriend Alicia. Sue is perturbed that Reed has been holed up in the lab for far too long. From her perspective, the negative zone is gone, the flames in the sky are gone, the danger is over, and now it's time for Reed to treat her like his wife and take her to dinner. Ben tries to calm her down, but instead she uses a video monitor to interrupt her husband, who is frustrated with her intrusion. He breaks the connection, leaving her even more upset. Sue stomps off towards the lab while Ben tries once more to help her understand that Reed has a job to do. For Sue, Ben is typical. Men always side with other men. With that, Ben checks in on Johnny, who is staring up at the sky because now something new has happened. Instead of flames, the sky seems cluttered with space debris, so thick you can barely see through it. The government has sent helicopters with scientific equipment to investigate, but all they can conclude is that some giant unseen power is toying with the Earth. And as that happens, Sue barges in on Reed in the laboratory. Reed tries to hold the door, telling her that she cannot come in, but Sue won't have it. Reed has not eaten, slept, or even shaved, and in her words, the world won't end if Reed takes her out for dinner. For Reed, he wishes he could be sure of that. Then Sue understands that this is bigger than she could have realized. The Watcher is in Reed's lab with him. He has been causing the disturbances in Earth's atmosphere. He says he didn't mean to cause a panic, and Sue questions him. As far as she knows, the Watcher pledged never to interfere with other worlds, to which the Watcher responds that this is true, except the danger they now face is too great this time. He tells them that the Silver Surfer is on his way, and he is an advanced scout for Galactus, a being that drains entire planets of their energy and resources, leaving them dead in his wake, and even he could not stand by and watch that happen to Earth. So he's been trying to conceal the planet from the Silver Surfer. Even as they speak, the Silver Surfer has reached the moon and will become suspicious of the debris hiding Earth. The moment of crisis is now at hand. As the Watcher explains the situation, the Silver Surfer is already breaking through the ruse in the sky, and in seconds he sees the civilization that was briefly shrouded. And as he speeds towards New York City, he sees an approaching flaming, flashing figure, ready to challenge him. But as fast as the Human Torch is, he cannot match the Surfer's speed, as the Silver being dodges the torch as if he were an anchor in the sky. The rest of the Fantastic Four and the Watcher reach the rooftop as the Surfer lands, but it's too late. The Surfer sends a beam of light and energy into space, a beacon for Galactus to follow. And as he does so, he disregards the humans around him. They are of no concern, only his mission for his master. As the Surfer finishes calling out, Ben lands a blow to his back, even as the Watcher tells him it's no use. They must now prepare for Galactus. To Ben's surprise, the Silver Surfer falls from the rooftop in an uncontrolled descent. Both Reed and Johnny try to catch him, but they fail. The Watcher tells him that a mere fall cannot hurt the Surfer. For him, it was just the easiest way to depart, and that they must forget about the Silver Surfer, because even now, the Watcher can sense the universe-spanning sphere of Galactus entering the atmosphere. He has received the Surfer's signal, and he's responded. In the sky above, the Fantastic Four see the sphere stop, hover, and then release the testing devices of Galactus, sampling the Earth, ensuring that it has what he seeks. The Watcher tells him the planet is now doomed. They watch as the devices return to the sphere as it lowers itself. The Watcher tells them all to stand their ground. There's nowhere to run. Sue remarks that the ship's bigger than it seemed before, that this Galactus must be a giant. The Watcher tells him he is what he wishes to be. He is Galactus. The sphere opens and out steps an enormous being who announces, "My journey has ended. This planet shall sustain me until it has been drained of all life. So speaks Galactus." Issue 49 picks up there with Chapter 2. If This Be Doomsday. The Fantastic Four look on as the newly arrived Galactus and the Watcher stand toe-to-toe. Johnny is amazed that they begin to talk to each other as if they know each other. Ben thinks the Watcher is outmatched. Then Galactus speaks. He realizes that it was the Watcher who tried to conceal Earth from his eyes, and reminds the Watcher that none may thwart his will. The Watcher tries to plead with Galactus. The Earth contains intelligent life. He must not destroy it. But for Galactus, the presence of life is immaterial. Still, the Fantastic Four can only look on and wonder what will happen. Has their fate really been sealed? Galactus then turns his gaze to the New York City skyline. He tells the Watcher that this is never his intention to harm any life, but he must feed. He must replenish his own energy. If petty creatures are killed in the process, it is regrettable, but unavoidable. Ben Grimm has heard enough. He begins to confront Galactus, to defy his words with his own, but Galactus ignores him and tells the Watcher to tell these creatures to hold their tongues before he wipes them out with a single stroke. The Watcher stands his own ground. He tells Galactus that he stands with the humans, but Galactus is not moved. He is aware of the Watcher's powers, but knows that his own are supreme, and he will do what he has done for countless ages throughout the cosmos. The Watcher reminds him that those other worlds were deserted, that this is different. Still, Galactus remains unconcerned. Ben has now heard enough. He strikes Galactus while uttering his famous catchphrase, "It's clobbering time." The punch has no impact. Then Ben sees a strange-looking capsule fall from Galactus. Reed screams for him to look out and run, but it's too late. The capsule explodes, releasing a toxic gas that burns inside Ben's nose and eyes and lungs. Reed identifies it as some sort of cosmic insect repellent. For Galactus, that's who they are. They're nothing more than bothersome gnats. Reed wraps Ben's fallen body in his own, determined to roll Ben away to safety. But Johnny doesn't heed the lesson. He turns on his flames and attacks. The Watcher tries to warn him, but Johnny knows no one ever won a battle by sticking their head in the sand. He hits Galactus full blast, but nothing. The behemoth absorbs it, and then he begins to light up like a miniature sun until he sends the blast back to the Human Torch, causing the electrons in his body to contract, covering him in soot and extinguishing his powers. And Johnny falls as he chokes on smoke, bewildered by the enormous power of their new foe. For Galactus, Johnny is nothing. He turns his back on the impotent hero. The Watcher orders Johnny to join his family. There's nothing more he can do here. Galactus then wonders, where is his herald? Where is the Silver Surfer? And Johnny wonders the same thing as he leaves. Sue meets Johnny as he enters their home. Johnny feels like a swatted mosquito. Sue tells him that Reed wants them to be patient until they come up with an answer, and that he should get himself cleaned up. Johnny finds Reed shaving and Ben bathing. He's incensed at the inaction, but both of them tell him to calm down. They all tried it their own way and nothing worked, except punching the Silver Surfer. Speaking of the Silver Surfer, we find him lying prone on a skylight halfway across town where he crash landed. He begins to stir and then falls through the skylight into the apartment below where a woman is sculpting. That woman? Alicia Masters, the blind love of Ben Grimm's life. She hears the surfer groan and feels her way towards him. She feels his face, the face of a man, but different. The Silver Surfer tells her that he is much more than a man. He is the herald of Galactus. But Alicia does not understand. The Silver Surfer tells her that understanding cannot alter the ways of destiny. For Alicia, there is nobility in his voice. Then the surfer realizes that Alicia is blind, as she calls him incredible. Alicia touches his face again. She has never sensed such loneliness in a living being. She decides to feed him. The surfer is confused. Eating is a foreign concept to him. Meanwhile, Galactus has called down various objects from his craft and is assembling them atop the Baxter building. When completed, this machine will allow him to drain all life energy from Earth. Then, he will move on to the next planet. All the Fantastic Four can do is watch and try to come up with a plan to stop him. Reed and Ben tell Sue to stay behind as their only plan now is to try to tackle the giant. If that doesn't work, it will be up to her and Johnny. But before they can leave, the Watcher appears and blocks their way. He tells them that they are not prepared, and despite Reed and Ben's consternation, Sue convinces them to listen. And with a stroke of his hand, the Watcher creates a screen of light. He tells them that they must first understand their foe if they are to defeat him. Think of Galactus as a gold miner, prospecting through space. The device he is constructing is an elemental converter, and its range is planetary. It will first absorb the oceans and convert them into energy for Galactus. After that, his focus will be on the cities, causing the greatest mass evacuations in history. Eventually, the human race will have no place left to run. The ray will turn the Earth into a lifeless husk, and then Galactus will leave. The three of them are in shock. The Watcher tells them that to fight this fight, they must do so with wisdom, and the Watcher has a plan. The Watcher knows of a machine, not of the Earth, that can save the human race. It is in a place only the Human Torch can reach. Since the Watcher is forbidden from doing it himself, it is Johnny who must obtain it. Back at Alicia's apartment, the Silver Surfer is demonstrating how to convert items into energy, much more efficient than this ritual of eating. Alicia can only feel the intense heat and wonder what he is doing. And then he turns to Alicia's sculptures, wasteful to him, but they too will be converted to energy once Galactus is through. Alicia is horrified at the Surfer's message. He tells Alicia that the word destroy is just a word. Nothing is actually destroyed, only converted. But Alicia begins to pound on his chest with desperation, desperate for him to understand that everything matters, every bird and beast, that this is their world. Perhaps they are not powerful like Galactus, but they have hearts and souls. They feel, they live, they breathe. That if he cannot see that, then he is the one who is truly blind. The Silver Surfer raises his hand to her face, as if to silence her forever. But then he pauses. Never has he heard such words, felt such courage, or known this strange new emotion. The Surfer tells Alicia that some races have used a word before, one he never understood. At last now he knows. That word is beauty. For a moment, Alicia has hope that the Surfer is not a soulless monster, but the Surfer interrupts her. He tells her that he is what he must be. The Silver Surfer serves Galactus. Alicia makes the Surfer look out the window at the panicked masses below, each of them a human, a word that means nothing to him, but he begins to struggle with a new emotion as he's never been so close to a species like this before. He feels pity. As a result of Galactus' appearance, the governor has ordered everyone inside. All radio and television is broadcasting minute-by-minute accounts from the Baxter Building, which is now encased in a force field. No one can reach the giant now except the Fantastic Four. And now Galactus is ready to make the final connection, and then the seas of the Earth will convert to raw energy. As Galactus makes that final connection, the world waits with bated breath for what comes next. But it is Galactus who is surprised. He reels backward. The converter is not operating. Never in 1,000 years has it failed before. Why? The giant's voice echoes across the rooftops. With an ear-splitting bellow of monumental rage, Galactus turns his attention to the top of the Baxter Building, only to find the thing tearing apart the converter. Galactus calls him a fool, that he can build another one in minutes. The thing tells him he'll destroy that one too. Then, with a giant piece of the converter structure, Ben swings it like a baseball, striking Galactus and sending him over the edge. Now, it's Reed's turn. He rolls himself into a cannonball and has Ben hurl him into Galactus' chest, knocking him even further across the skyline. As Sue helps Reed up, they notice that Galactus is not fallen. He is floating now, using an anti-gravity system to rise back up. But first, enough is enough. He will not tolerate any more interference. He points to his ship and sends a beam of energy towards it, another signal. He then summons the Punisher. With that, a hidden hatch opens on the sphere, and out comes a being, half robot, half alive, a compact, merciless, hardcore mass of mayhem from the very outer rim of the known universe. Far below, Johnny is held back by the Watcher. It would be futile for him to join this fight. He must do the unexpected and flee the planet. He tells Johnny that he must journey to a distant world. Only he can retrieve the object that may stop Galactus. Johnny agrees because the Watcher has never betrayed them before. He tells the Watcher to do what has to be done. The Watcher then touches him with a device of his own. When he does so, Johnny is sent traveling through a time-space distortion. He is traveling far back into the center of infinity. But he must fear not, the Watcher is at his side. And soon, Johnny will cease to exist in his own time continuum. The distance Johnny travels is so great, even his language will fail to describe it. And the Watcher's final warning? Brace yourself for what is soon to be. Johnny passes between the barriers of unlife, and to touch them is to perish. For this reason, Johnny was chosen. His ability to fly with such speed and accuracy. Then Johnny passes through the final dimensional curtain to where Johnny finds the home planet of Galactus, a planet that dwarfs all that he has ever known. A gargantuan space station where he will find the device with which to battle Earth's greatest menace. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Punisher lands in front of Ben Grimm. Galactus orders him to destroy the Fantastic Four. Ben steps up to the challenge. Reed warns Ben that the being must be powerful if Galactus keeps him around. Reed also asks Sue to keep her force field handy. Reed was right. The Punisher pushes Ben back with speed and strength. Reed tries to help out, but it seems useless. Even Ben realizes that the Punisher is faster and his blows are beginning to hurt. Then, summoning all his strength, Ben teaches the Punisher a lesson. It's not who lands the most, but who lands the hardest, and clobbers the alien with a thundering right hook. But the Punisher stays standing, his clawed feet anchoring him to the floor, which he then uses to pull the ground beneath them both, causing Ben to lose his balance. But Reed is able to restrain the Punisher for a moment, wrapping him up. Then, the Punisher reveals his real strength as he pinwheels his arms like a furious windmill, unwrapping Reed and striking Ben dozens of times. The fight is useless. Sue puts up her force field to shield Reed from further harm and calls out to Ben to join them, but Ben is going down quickly. Finally, Ben is able to get to safety, and even though he is anxious to get back to the fight, Reed pulls rank and tells him that it's no use, that the fight is with Galactus, not the Punisher. Besides, Galactus does not know how long Sue can hold the force field. Meanwhile, the Punisher is pounding at the invisible shield like a furious wild animal, but unable to break through. Eventually, Galactus calls off his loyal servant. He sends him back to the sphere as he continues to construct his new converter. For the Fantastic Four, they are relieved that one threat is gone, but still wary of Galactus, who they still cannot figure out an answer to. But they are determined to fight on as long as they still live, however long that may be. And as the Fantastic Four ponder a new strategy, we return to Alicia Masters and the Silver Surfer. She tells him that she feels he has the power to save them, but to defy Galactus is unthinkable to this herald. Alicia wonders how she could have been so wrong about what she sensed in him. She thought she felt compassion. The Silver Surfer tells her perhaps she was not wrong. With that, the Silver Surfer returns to his board. In his mind, perhaps he has found something worth protecting, even though it means he must do battle with his master. And although Galactus is the power, he is the herald, the one who's traveled the cosmos and has never yet been tested. But there is one who sees all. The Watcher senses the coming Silver Surfer, an unanticipated development, one that may ruin his best laid plans. Never had a herald dare to defy Galactus. And that may mean the Silver Surfer could cause the destruction of Earth himself. Issue 50 picks up here and delivers to us the concluding chapter of Galactus' first ever appearance in the episode titled The Startling Saga of the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer races towards his master. He tells Galactus that for the first time, he realizes the enormity of what he plans to do and demands that he stop once and for all. Galactus' response is that the Silver Surfer would not hesitate to tread upon an anthill, that these creatures are of no consequence to him. The Fantastic Four look on from inside Sue Richards' force field as the Silver Surfer continues his plea for humanity, that they are different from the others. For Galactus, his patience is worn thin and orders his herald away. The Silver Surfer defies his master, telling him no, that he has found something worth fighting for. Then he reminds Galactus that even he has not seen the extent of his full powers. Galactus is shocked at the challenge from his servant. Has the Silver Surfer forgotten that he, Galactus, is the real power? The Surfer again reminds Galactus that he too is a creature of the cosmos with unimaginative powers. And one last time, he asks that the giant foe leave Earth, to not compel him to battle. But Galactus does not respond, leaving the Surfer no choice but to attack. Energy bolts shoot forth from both the Surfer's hands, unthinkable to Galactus, unthinkable to be attacked in such a way, especially by a loyal herald, now bent on betrayal. The Surfer tells his master that he is not betraying him, but avoiding betraying himself. For on Earth he has found something that mortal men call a conscience, and again he gives Galactus the choice to leave, because the fight brings heartache to the Surfer. The Silver Surfer cocoons his ethereal energy around Galactus, trapping him in a solid shell, restraining him from further injuring anyone else. The hope that it will serve as a prison for the foreseeable future. A dazed Sue Richard releases her force field as Ben and Reed examine the cocoon. Both impressed, Ben remarks that the Surfer did a lot more than that overrated Watcher. He then has the urge to touch the cocoon, never knowing what pure energy feels like. But Reed cautions him. They know nothing about its nature, but Ben ignores him, and as his orange stone hand makes contact, he is shocked as if touching an electric current. As Ben reels back, Reed and Sue observe the shell beginning to crack. and then shatter. Galactus breaks free from his cage with a tremendous blast of his own power. The Fantastic Four run for cover. Now Galactus has only one demand. Where is his herald? He gets an immediate response. The Silver Surfer appears and declares himself free of his servitude. That Galactus must be driven from this world, whatever the cost. That cost, according to Galactus, is the life of the Silver Surfer. And now, as the former herald attacks, his energy beams can no longer penetrate Galactus' shield, who tells him that all eternity awaits him. He can be patient, and that his herald will yield eventually. With that, Galactus returns the attack with one of his own, forcing the Surfer to dodge and evade. And as the two do battle, Galactus lectures. He has no wish to cause the Surfer harm, and besides, do not these humans slaughter lesser beasts for sustenance? They are the same as he, but the Surfer wishes to no longer be a monster, to obliterate with no misgivings. As the Fantastic Four take cover, the Watcher reappears. Ben is in no mood for his philosophy. Reed only wishes to know where he sent the Human Torch. The Watcher tells him, to a world so unspeakably distant that it defies description. There he will find the one weapon to defeat Galactus. Reed expresses his confidence in his ally. He knew the Watcher would help, only now, what can they do in the meantime? The only answer, watch and observe, as the Watcher does. Experience this cosmic force, for they will never see it again. As for the Watcher, he does not sit by silently, without lack of concern. He has always cherished the bumbling, stumbling, yet inspiring human race. Yet, in the unnamed segment of the unknown void, Johnny Storm completes his most incredible journey. The Watcher has shown him the way. He can now head back home, to Earth. Johnny is led through a pathway to subspace, back through the unlife bands, until finally, he is back in his own continuum. He calls out for Reed, for Ben, for Sue, but they cannot hear him. He is still on a different plane, yet he's getting closer. And then the mists clear, and he can sense them. Within the span of a millisecond, Johnny Storm is back on top of the Baxter building, excited that he is alive. Reed asks him what he brought. What instrument or weapon did he retrieve to quell Galactus? But the journey has caught up with him. Johnny begins to pass out. The magnitude of discovering that humans are merely the ants of the universe is overwhelming. Reed tells him to try not to remember, to relax, as he takes possession of the device Johnny returned with. The Watcher tells him that Johnny will be alright. The memory will soon fade. Reed only wants to know if he has the right device. The Watcher confirms. It contains the proper alien element. Reed begins to turn it on, but the Watcher warns him, do not turn it on to full power. It could erase the solar system in a microsecond. He begins to instruct Reed. Meanwhile, the Surfer is still battling Galactus, who is impressed with the Surfer's abilities, more than he ever considered. Still, it is nothing compared to his own, and it only means that Galactus must now slay his long-term partner. The Silver Surfer welcomes that fate, now that he has a cause worth dying for. A new strategy then for the Giant. If the Surfer will not yield to direct attacks, then maybe he will yield as he imperils the humans. The strategy backfires. The Surfer knows the only way to win is to vanquish Galactus. This final act of stubbornness enrages him. Of all the creatures who have ever lived, he has cherished the Silver Surfer the most. But now, by his hand, the Surfer must die. But before he can make good on his threat, Reed Richards stretches his arm into view of Galactus. In his hand, the weapon, a sight that stops Galactus cold. It's the ultimate nullifier in the hands of a human. Impossible. He demands that Reed put the weapon down, that he knows not the power he wields, the power to destroy galaxies, to lay waste to whole universes. Reed's response, if the galaxy crumbles, will Galactus himself even survive? This is checkmate. Galactus turns to the Watcher. He blames him for this interference, for giving a match to a child who lives inside a tinderbox. The Watcher calmly agrees. He asks Galactus, this world belongs to these children. Is my action not just? The Watcher asks his cosmic equal, the courage of this race. Did not your race and mine evolve from such humble beginnings? Do they not possess the seed of grandeur within their frail human frames? But Galactus is only concerned with his feeding, to which the Watcher reminds him the universe is limitless. Destroying a race cannot be the answer. Galactus finally relents. In exchange for the ultimate nullifier, he will forswear this world. The Watcher tells Reed to do as he's told, for the word of Galactus is living truth. It can never be questioned. And now for the first time, Galactus, since the dawn of memory, has been defeated. But he bears no malice. Yet there is one thing left to be done. As the Silver Surfer passes him by once more, Galactus delivers a direct hit with beams from his eyes, removing the ability to travel the cosmos. From now on, the Silver Surfer shall roam no more. With those words, the towering figure of Galactus is transformed into a living, raging fury of pure power, the very atoms in the air crackling in disarray. He leaves with a warning: be ever worthy of your glory, humans. Be ever mindful of your promise of greatness, for it shall one day lift you beyond the stars or bury you within the ruins of war. The choice is yours. He orders the Fantastic Four to turn away as he uses dimensional displacement, a force too great for human eyes to perceive. Then, in a flash, Galactus is gone. The Watcher is gone. All of the machinery is gone, as if nothing ever happened. The Fantastic Four are left wondering if the world will ever know just how close they came to an incomprehensible fate. They gather Johnny's limp body. He needs to rest. Ben wonders what happened to the Silver Surfer. His answer quietly appears behind him. He asks Ben what is really troubling him and calls him a friend. Ben tells him to stop talking so nice because he's trying to dislike him. Soon, Ben will get a real reason to dislike the Surfer. Alicia appears, pleading to be told that everyone is alright, but instead of going to Ben, she heads straight to the Silver Surfer. She gives him all the credit for turning against Galactus, to which the Surfer reminds her that it was she who taught him the meaning of kindness, of pity, that he could do no less. As Alicia gushes over the Cosmic Traveler, Ben realizes that she does not even know he's standing right there. He turns and walks away, sullen. Ben listens as the Surfer speaks like a poet, unable to watch as Alicia remains fixated on him. And for Ben, logically, why wouldn't Alicia pick the gleaming gladiator over an ape like himself? Face it, ugly, it ain't no contest. As Ben descends the stairs into the Baxter building, Alicia excitedly tells the Surfer that he must meet everyone, especially Ben. He's the most wonderful man who ever lived. The Surfer tells her that they have all left, tending to Johnny, but he cannot follow her. He does not belong with the others down there. Not yet. He was born to soar, to ride the currents of space, and though the stars are now denied, he still belongs to the skies above. With a single leap, he lands on his board and speeds off to explore a whole new world. And when he's done, when the wanderlust is stilled, the Silver Surfer will return. Thus left to herself once more, the puzzled, sightless Alicia slowly descends the stairs, calling out Ben's name, wondering why he does not answer her, wondering where he's gone. Meanwhile, the city is catching its breath. The danger is over thanks to the Fantastic Four. The Daily Bugle publishes headlines calling the whole thing a hoax, the whole ordeal a publicity stunt, and elsewhere in the city, a strange, brooding man reads every account of the incredible incident. For him, the Fantastic Four's time is running out. It won't be a Dr. Doom or a Galactus that ends them, but an unexpected source, someone with purpose and method. Only he has the power. Thus ends the first ever saga of Galactus. I hope you enjoyed this look back at one of Marvel's most impressive characters and one of the Marvel comic universe's most threatening entities. And if you want more comic book fun right away, click on the thumbnail at the end of the video for our look back at the first ever appearance and latest origin story of the Phantom Stranger. You'll be glad you did. I thank you for watching. Remember, I'm still your reluctant gringo from somewhere south of the border. Salud and a huevo.